you clicked on this video, you probably already know that you need to figure out LinkedIn and LinkedIn ads to really scale your business and fill your sales pipeline with high value opportunities. But learning how LinkedIn ads work can be a daunting task. There's not a lot of information out there. The interface is different, it's expensive, and it's tough to get started. So that's exactly why I'm making this video. You see, we've managed over 100 million in LinkedIn ads, worked with hundreds of B2B organizations, and helped them generate demand, attract leads, and close sales opportunities. So don't worry, in this video, I'm gonna give you a full rundown on everything that you need to know to create and execute a well-performing LinkedIn ads campaign. Some of the topics we'll go over are campaign structure. We'll talk about how to create audiences and how to use the best targeting. We'll go through all the different ad formats that are available and which ones you'll want to use when. We'll go over the bidding strategies and show you how to get the best costs from your ads. And then finally, we'll go over setting up conversion tracking so that you can monitor and measure your results. Plus, I'll share a ton of tips and tricks and insights that you'll need to know as you go to set up your campaign. Lots of insights that we've learned over the last 8 years working with hundreds of businesses to run their LinkedIn ads, along with generating millions of dollars along the way. After this video, you won't need to watch any other LinkedIn tutorials ever again. However, I will go pretty in depth and break down everything along the way, so make sure that you follow along and watch all the way to the end so that you get all the information that you'll need. Now, let's dive in. So before we dive into the interface, let's go over some strategy first. What you see here is what a full funnel LinkedIn ads strategy looks like. And this is breaking down your campaigns and your ads that you're gonna run into what you're gonna run at each stage of the funnel. So it starts with targeting your audience very specifically and segmenting your personas so that you can craft your ads, your campaigns around each persona. An IT person is going to care about different things than a marketing person is going to care about. So you want to be able to tailor your ads and your campaigns to each of them specifically. So it starts at the top by segmenting your two personas against each other and then breaking down your funnel. You might be able to go direct. Some businesses go right to the demo offer if you have active demand in the market. If you don't, then you usually need to build out a couple layers of retargeting to get people to the point they have enough information that they're ready to move with your business. So if you have a cold audience, you often need to warm them up by introducing them to your company. And often it starts with focusing on their problems and their pain points that they're having. For somebody who doesn't know anything about you yet, all they know is themselves. So start with their problems and their pain points because that's all they know at that moment. And then you need to connect their problems to your solution and your opportunity that you're presenting with them. The thing is, most B2B purchases are a big decision. It costs a lot. You have to involve a lot of people to verify that the technology is going to work or the solution is going to work for them. So it requires usually several layers of retargeting. You need to involve several stakeholders in the process. So this type of funnel, or should I say pyramid, will help you do that. It's really an awareness building machine that the more that a person or a company engages with your company, the more that you want to focus on them and expand their awareness about your company. As you move down the funnel, that can involve using lead magnets to capture leads. That can involve offering bottom of funnel offers like a free trial or a free demo. And then once you have interested prospects in your sales pipeline, that's when the real marketing starts to convince them why your solution is the best one to go with versus competitors and why your solution is better than doing nothing. And you can do that by building up your social proof using all these different facets of information that most buyers want to know. You can also see that as you build out the funnel, most of your conversions are going to happen at the bottom of the funnel. As people work their way down the funnel and they show more interest, you want to put more of your marketing focus on them so that you can be converting them into buyers. You might get people who right out of the gate, they know they need a solution and they see one ad and they go right to your website and they sign up for a demo right away. But very often in B2B marketing, it takes a while to convince somebody to purchase. People need more information to have that. People need to have enough information to make an educated purchasing decision. And they also need that information to make a case with their boss and with their organization. Now, you're probably not going to build this funnel on day one. Now, let's talk about what a starter funnel can look like. So if we simplify it into the most basic cases, we're going to start with who's my target audience? Who do I want to reach? And then what ads do I want to put in front of them? What's my first offer that I'm going to present to them? Am I going to go right to a demo offer, or am I going to offer them a lead magnet or a webinar type of offer to get them started? At that point, they'll get to my website and I can then have the opportunity to retarget them. People will often need several touch points, again, because B2B is a complex buying process. And then once you capture leads, maybe somebody fills out your demo form or they register for your webinar. At that point, you can then continue to retarget them with more ads, social posts, and then even follow-up emails. And that starts your entire sales process from there. So in this tutorial, we're going to go over how to set up your target audience. We'll go over ad creation. We'll talk about offers, and then we'll even go through the retargeting process so that you can build this for your business. So for today, let's take a case study as we go to plan out our campaigns that we're going to build in LinkedIn Campaign Manager. Say we're selling IT software for financial services organizations, and maybe I'm going to organize my campaigns for prospecting, going to cold audiences. I'm gonna talk about the top 5 IT risks for financial services organizations. It might be too much to jump right into the product tour if somebody doesn't know the issues or the problems that are out there. I'm guessing that IT directors at financial services organizations are very concerned about risks and getting hacked and stuff like that. So they want to know, what are the top 5 risks at the moment? Maybe we'll say like for 2024 or whatever year it is. And then once I see who's really interested by who's going to this article to learn more, that's when I'm going to start remarketing to that audience. From there, I'm going to talk about my FinSafe product. I'm going to talk about get a demo of FinSafe, the awards, rankings, and testimonials that this product has earned, maybe even going through customer case studies. If there's active demand in the market, sometimes you can go right to a demo offer, but sometimes you might want to split your funnel into both prospecting and remarketing. Hit on the pain points and see who's interested in the topic, and then retarget those people who are interested with your demo. All right, so if you're just getting started, then the first step is that you need to create an ad account. So what you'll do is you'll come into linkedin.com/campaign-manager/accounts, and then you'll jump into the ads interface here. If this is your first time here, this page will probably be blank. There won't be anything on it. If you already have an account, this is where you'll enter your account to get into your sub account. But if you need to create an account, you'll click this create account button on the top left, and then it'll open up a dialog here. Maybe I'll call it Anthony's new ad account. I can give it whatever currency I'm going to use here, USD, and then you need to associate a LinkedIn page with your account. So I'm going to associate my company page here, and that will tie your ad account to the company page because ads will come from your company page. If you don't have a company page, you also need to create that again. So you can choose new, you can choose add new if you need to create a new company page. You can go through this builder here, click on company, and then you can create your company page here. So after I've entered these inputs, I'm going to click save. And then from there, it's going to jump me into my brand new ad account here. I'm going to have a new campaign group here by default. It will be on hold until I add a payment method, but I can start my setup process from here. Now, if you or someone on your team already has a LinkedIn ad account set up, then what you can do is you can share access to that existing account by opening up this existing account, going to account settings, and you go to manage access. From there, you'll see the user access page. Maybe you're the only one here, or maybe someone else has access, and then they can click add user to add other users to this account. And then you can search and find that user you want to add. Account manager is the top level access who can add and remove other people. Campaign manager can do everything except for add and remove other people. Creative manager can only edit ads, and then viewer, of course, is just view access. Great. So now once you've got your account created, everything's set up, you have access, jump back over to the advertise page here, and we'll start setting up our campaign. So on the first page here, these are campaign groups that you're seeing here. Really, these are just a folder of campaigns. There is an option to do campaign group optimization, but typically we see it's better to turn that off. So to start, I often like to organize mine by initiative. So often that's top of funnel versus middle of funnel versus bottom funnel, or prospecting versus remarketing. For simplicity, let's start with just prospecting versus remarketing. Set my status to active, and then I'm gonna turn off group objective because it typically performs better with it off. You can set start and end dates here, but I'm just gonna do just a start date. Then you click create. From there, it's gonna create your new campaign group here. So I have my prospecting layer. So these are the campaigns I'm intending to target to new cold audiences versus to create a retargeting campaign group. These are ones that I'm intending to use to retarget people who have already engaged with my company. From there, I'm gonna click into prospecting to enter this group. I'll have no campaigns here because I'm just creating new ones. And then I'll start by going to create campaign. That's gonna open up the builder here. It's gonna give you a couple of different options. So brand awareness will reach people for the cheapest CPM possible, but not necessarily people who are ready to engage. It's gonna optimize for the cheapest impressions, not necessarily people who are most likely to click. This is a good option because CPMs are important. Getting your message out to more people, even if they don't click, is a good top of funnel strategy. Most common, I'd say, are website visits and lead gen overall on the campaign objective side. Most people want to drive traffic to their website to read more about your company, maybe go watch your demo video, learn more about your product or service, and then have the opportunity to buy, and then have the opportunity to sign up for a demo call. The other option is lead gen. This will use the LinkedIn built-in lead gen forms, which are handy because it simplifies the lead capture process. For simplicity here, we're just going to start with website visits objective. Then it's going to give you the option if you want to use the new LinkedIn Accelerate tool. This is an AI builder which will create your campaigns for you. I recommend start with the classic builder so that you have maximum control over how your campaigns are set up. After that, click next. It'll jump you into the builder. This is the first summary screen. I'm just going to click next to go to the actual campaign editing screen. From here, again, I'm going to click website visits to select that. Okay, and now I'm going to name my campaign. So say this will be the first prospecting campaign that I'm going to run, and I'm going to be it's going to be a cold campaign, not retargeting. I'm going to be targeting IT FinServe, and then I like to name it what's the objective and what's the ad type that I'm using. Maybe I'll just say visits and then image here. You can name your campaigns however follows your naming conventions. This is how I like to do it. Scrolling down, now I'm in the audience builder screen here. So there's lots of options I have to choose from. First is what location do I want to be targeting? So say I'm just selling this software in the US. Say I'm doing US and Canada. I can then choose Canada here. I like to start with permanent location because recent can include lots of people who are traveling, maybe from out of the country, and I might be reaching people that I don't intend to reach because they were recently in the US. I also find that recent can include people who VPN into the US and don't actually travel. Usually you want to start with permanent. If there's any locations to exclude, you can exclude button here. Maybe my software doesn't work in California for whatever reason. I'm going to exclude that. And coming down here, now I have ways to narrow my audience even further. Say I want to target IT leaders at financial services companies. I'm going to start by narrowing my audience. You can see to start, it's like everyone in the US other than California, 240 million people. That's a lot. The ideal audience size is typically 30 to 80K people to start. If it's bigger than that, then you have the opportunity to get more specific and more targeted. If it's smaller than that, then maybe you might be getting too tight on your audience. And a lot of this depends on how much budget and how many results you're looking to drive from your campaign. Obviously, the bigger the budget and the bigger goals that you have, the bigger your audience is going to need to be. So diving in, let's look at audience attributes. So first I'm going to start at the company level. These are all the different options that LinkedIn offers. I'll go through these real quick. Company category are options like Forbes World's Most Innovative Companies, for Fortune 1000, Fortune 500. I don't use this a ton, but when people say they want to target Fortune 500, it's nice to have this list here because of that. Jumping back up to company connections. So this will target all the first degree connections at a target company. So say I want to target all first degree connections of IBM, I could do it that way. I don't find it to be terribly useful because people at IBM are connected to lots of different type of people. It doesn't necessarily indicate any kind of interest. Jumping back up, company follower of. So I can choose my company. It's going to give you the option of the company page that you have connected to this ad account. So that's my only option here is this one. But really what I want to choose is industry. Because we're doing financial services, I can search for that industry here and select financial services that way. Going through some of the other options, I can target a specific company by name. I can target a company by revenue band. I can target a company by growth rate. It has their headcount increase or decrease this year. You can target by those options. I can target by company size, again by headcount. So you can do either revenue or company size by headcount, and you can also use both together. I have some options for demographics. I can target by age range, and there's several different brackets I can target. I can target by member gender. Note that this is inferred by LinkedIn based on their first name, so it's not perfect. Next are education. I can target by degrees that somebody has on their profile, what they studied in school, and then member school that they attended. Note that a lot of people don't fill out the field of study. They'll just say where they went to school, not necessarily the type of degree. So this can limit your campaign. Also, lots of people do change career paths after they got their degree. So only use that if it's really necessary. Next, in the job experience, we were talking about company features here for what type of companies people are working at. Next are jobs. What is their specific role that you want to target? Job function is a broader umbrella of job titles organized into functions. So this is the broader umbrella of things like accounting function, business development, consulting, education, engineering. Whereas if I did job titles, I could have software engineering as a job title or structural engineering as a job title. Job functions are a broader umbrella of those groupings. So it's nice when you might not know the exact titles you want to reach, or there's lots of them. That's when job functions are better to use. So in this case, I could use information technology group here. Be careful of the ands and ors in the campaign builder, how those are going to add together. So right now, this is going to target anybody in financial services or anybody in IT, which can be outside of financial services. I want to make sure I'm anding these together to be getting more narrow as I'm building these audiences. So also I have the option, if I don't want to do the whole job function, maybe there's a specific job title I want to target inside of that, because IT is a big, broad umbrella and job functions are a broad umbrella. I can switch over to going to job titles like this. Let me type in information security, and now I can choose from the specific titles that LinkedIn pulls here. Keep in mind that when a user inputs their title into LinkedIn, it's a free text input field. So LinkedIn has to do some categorization to find the closest matching job title inside of LinkedIn. So that's why it gives you a list to select from. So say I want to go after IT decision makers, I can do that by saying, let's go after information security, director of information security, director of IT security, and then vice. Let's see if there's a head title, head of information security. So you can type in the specific titles that you want to get, and then chief, boom. So I can select those. So you can see my audience is 890 people. Now, if I take out IT as a broad umbrella, it goes down to 5,000 people. So that's a huge difference. Obviously, there's a lot of people inside that broad function were outside of these specific titles that I select. This is pretty small, so I do want to make this a little bit bigger. So let's make this a little bit bigger by adding manager titles and some other similar titles to these. Okay, great. Now I found some more titles here, make my audience larger. If you had seen that LinkedIn's pop-up up top, you don't need to have an audience that's 50,000 people. LinkedIn has some different tooltips here that you don't always need to follow. I typically recommend for your audience to be between 30 to 80,000 people. Now, there's lots of different companies inside this grouping here. Say I want to go after mid-market companies. Enterprise might be too big, too hard to break into if you're a smaller company. So let's target mid-market companies. I'm going to select company, and then I'm going to select company size, and say let's go after 200 all the way up to 1,000 employees. So now you can see it's 12,000. Say maybe that's a little small. Okay, maybe I'll go up to 5,000 or down to 50 to 5,000. I'll call mid-market. Now I have 29,000 people here, and then say I want to target people who are working on the Microsoft stack, because maybe my software only works with the Microsoft stack. How do I find people that are working on Microsoft? Because these companies might be using Google or Linux or other software systems. So I can do that by taking our targeting a step further with interests, skills, groups, or even device preferences. So let's dive into this. And let's say I'm going to go to member traits, device preferences, desktop, laptop users who are using Windows. Okay, great. But now I'm down to 14,000 people, so it is pretty tight. Let's go back up and maybe find some skills. So if somebody has a skill in the Microsoft security, okay, great. This is making it a little bit bigger. Microsoft products. Okay, and now I've added several different skills and traits here, so I'm getting closest as possible to people who are using the Microsoft stack at their company, if that's what my software is going to serve. All right, awesome. So now I have my audience created here. Maybe I want to do some exclusions. Most common interest in traits. Maybe I want to exclude people who are job seekers. So if you're looking for a job, maybe you're going to switch companies, or maybe they're currently unemployed. That's a very common exclusion to make. Maybe I also want to exclude people who are retired. Great, just to be sure. Now from there, I'm gonna scroll down, and I spent all this time crafting my target audience. I want to turn off audience expansion, because when that's on, that then allows LinkedIn to go make a few hops outside of this targeting that I've set here. So you might be spending a lot of time crafting your audience, but then if this is on, then you're gonna be reaching people who are outside of this target audience. And the power of LinkedIn is really how specific you can get and who you're gonna reach. You know, if I think about Facebook or Google or any other platforms, it's almost impossible to find these people without having to reach the masses. So LinkedIn's the only place that I can target specific job titles at specific companies and specific company sizes to reach that exact audience that I want to reach. All right, next let's talk about ad types here. So LinkedIn offers several different ad types that I can run. Most people start with single image, which is just your common image ad that's going to run in the newsfeed. But let's talk through what the other options are. So carousel is when you have multiple images in a carousel. Each tile of the carousel will have its own image and headline. This allows you to convey more information, but we also see that this is ad format kind of screams ad because it's only available at an ad. So users often scroll past these. Video is when you're going to put a video in your ad. This is great if you have compelling video. We do tend to see people don't watch video as much on LinkedIn, and video, people are often going to click before they really know what the video is about. So videos are great for retargeting, or if you have a well-designed video, but it can be harder to do. So most people start with image, and then if you have your campaigns performing well, or you want to use video to retarget people and build their awareness, you can do it that way. The other options you'll have at your disposal are text ads. These are the small ads that show up on the right-hand side on LinkedIn. Let's see if we can find a few. So these ones over here, these are text ads. They are very small, so they don't get a ton of clicks, but it's a good way to get your logo in front of somebody to show up a lot. These are best for retargeting. When somebody already knows who you are, they'll then see your logo over and over again. The best is you don't pay for these unless somebody clicks on them, so it can be a very cheap way to get your name in front of a warm audience even more. But because people don't click very often, we don't use them much for cold campaign. Spotlight is very similar. These are the slightly bigger ad format that can put your name next to somebody else's name on LinkedIn. Let's see if we can find one of those. So here's an example of a dynamic ad here, or a spotlight ad. This will pull in the user's profile image, put it next to your company logo, and then you can have a call to action here. These are a little bit bigger, take a little bit more space, but again, still a very limited ad unit, so better for a retargeting campaign. Message ads, these are ads that show up in the user's inbox. This can be an effective format to get in front of somebody and deliver a message. You have to pay on a per send basis, so you want to make sure these are very targeted because they can be expensive as well. Again, very good for a retargeting campaign when somebody already knows who you are, or if you have a very specific offer to a very specific audience. Conversation is a newer format compared to message ads. There's a few more options with combo ads, but they are very similar to message ads. Event ads, if you're running an event on LinkedIn, you can use event ads to promote that event. And then document ads are the newer ad format where if you upload a PDF, a swipeable PDF to a post, you can then run that as an ad format like this. Scrolling down, next here are my URL tracking parameters. It's great to now have this option inside of LinkedIn. So if I want to add UTMs to all my ads, this is an easy way to add it on one page without having to add it to every single URL I use. So maybe here I want to do UTM source equals LinkedIn and UTM medium equals paid. And maybe I want to do UTM campaign equals like that. Then it'll automatically and dynamically put in the campaign name here. Of course, this is just one campaign. So maybe I also want to do UTM content ad. Actually, that's creative ID. So now if I have multiple ads in this campaign, it's nice because every ad will have its own UTM content equals creative ID. So then I can match up clicks that I see in my analytics software to what ad that's from using these dynamic UTMs. Scrolling down a little bit further, I can see placements on LinkedIn is selected by default. You have to be running on LinkedIn. LinkedIn Audience Network is running ads on third-party websites websites such as New York Times or Wall Street Journal, which is great to be able to have that reach. But what I usually see is that ad appears kind of out of context a lot of times. People might click on it expecting to go read a New York Times article, and then they're kind of surprised if they go to your website and then they bounce from there. So we see that those tend to have higher bounce rates. So again, this is better as a retargeting campaign when somebody already knows who you are, but it's not great for a cold campaign because people get confused. So usually I'll turn this off. Next, I'm going to look at budgets. I can do my budgets on a daily budget schedule. So every day LinkedIn will spend up to the budget that I set here. So you can set it to whatever value you want, and then you'll know LinkedIn on any given day will spend on average that amount. Some days it'll go a little higher, some days it will go a little lower, but on average it will spend that amount. You can also set a lifetime budget if you know, okay, I just have $1,000 for this campaign or however much. You can set a lifetime budget with a duration date. Most commonly, I'm going to use daily budgets here. Just going down a little bit further, I'm going to choose my bidding strategy. By default, LinkedIn selects maximum delivery. So that tells LinkedIn they can bid as much as they need to spend your full budget, which is great for being able to spend your full budget, but not great because if you have a small audience, it might need to pay very high prices to reach those people on any given day. Say on a weekend, there's less people on LinkedIn, so maybe it needs to pay a lot per click to get that audience. So, but I know on my end, it's okay if on the weekends it doesn't spend as much. I don't want to pay crazy rates for the same traffic I might get during the week. So what I usually want to do is go to manual bidding here, and then it's going to show me this range. This audience is a very expensive audience, IT leadership in financial services. So this is a very high range it's giving me here. It depends on how competitive your audience is. Other audiences are cheaper. So I'm just going to see this range here, and I'll know if I have well-designed ads and well-targeted ads that speak to IT leaders in FinServ, I'm probably going to get better engagement rates, and then I can bid lower. So your bid is related to your engagement rate for your campaign. The higher your engagement rate, the lower that you can bid, because LinkedIn as a platform wants to serve ads to people that want to see them. They want to create a good user experience. So they give you a benefit. If you have high engagement ads, you can bid lower to get the same traffic. If you have very low engagement ads, you need to bid higher to reach that same traffic. So say I know I'm going to have good ads. Let's bid $20 a click. Again, this is quite high because I am going after a very premium audience here. If I was to add more senior level people or expand those company sizes, my bid will probably be a lot lower here. All right. And then the last part of the section here is conversion tracking setup. So I can then add conversion events to my campaign, and that's telling my campaign to track. If it sees those events, it will then log a conversion. So first, if I don't have any, this page is going to be blank. I'm going to click create new conversion, and it's going to give me 3 options here. LinkedIn Insight Tag, that's the most common option. So if you have the Insight Tag on your website, it's a piece of code you're going to put on your website. You can then use the Insight Tag setup. Otherwise, your options are Conversions API. For this, you'll need developer support to be pushing in conversion events through your API, which is handy if you want to integrate your CRM or an app events into LinkedIn. You can do that using the Conversions API, but it is a more advanced method. Thirdly is CSV conversion. So maybe you have a spreadsheet of conversion events. Maybe you get ticket sales at a conference. You want to be able to upload those. You would do a CSV conversion. Most commonly is doing the Insight Tag conversion event. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to open up the builder for me here. I'm going to name this. Say it's like consultation call sign up is going to be my event. And then let's call it a sign up event. This is just a category that you're putting it in. It doesn't mean much, but just helps categorize events in different categories. And then I can select the attribution window here. So this is if the event happens within 30 days of clicking, I do want to count that conversion. If it happens 31 days after, then it won't count that conversion because it's out of the window. And then the same thing with views. Next is the attribution model. So last touch each campaign. If I'm running multiple campaigns, it will log a conversion event for every campaign that touches somebody within that window, which is nice to see all the touches that influence that behavior, but it also will count multiple events. Last touch, last campaign will only count a conversion for the one campaign that had that last touch. So that will give me a more exact number so I know exactly how many demo requests or consultation calls I got. So I'm going to click last. Often it can be useful to do both, but that is a more advanced setup. If I click next step here, it's going to bring me into my builder here. Using website actions is the easiest way to set this up. LinkedIn will scan your website for all the buttons and pages that are available for making an easy setup process. If you do the manual setup process, that's when you'll give it a URL schema to match. And then LinkedIn will say, if the user visits a page that matches this URL, count that as a conversion. So you'll type typically your thank you page URL in there or something like that. And then thirdly is tag manager. So if you're using something like a Google tag manager, you can connect that to trigger events. A lot of companies will do their conversion tracking with a tag manager. So say here, I know I have a thank you page after the consultation call sign up. I'm going to click on page and I'm going to select my call confirm page. I can select it like that. And that's very nice to set up because LinkedIn already knows knows I have this page available, and I know that if somebody's made it to the call confirm page, that means they filled out the form on the call scheduling page and they've gone to the call confirmed, and then I know that's a conversion. They've scheduled at that point. I'll click next step. I can then edit this, and then I can go back to change other things. So I'm good here, and I'm just going to click create button. Boom. So that has the new conversion event here. It's active because this is using website actions. If I did a manual conversion setup, then it's going to tell me inactive until it sees that conversion event. But because I use website actions, LinkedIn already knows that pages exist, so it's active right away. But if you see inactive or if you see unverified, then LinkedIn's just waiting to see that signal. If you don't see that turn to active, then you might need to investigate your configuration setup. All right, so now after you have all that set up, we can click next here and go to the ad creative page. So now on this page, it's going to be blank at first because you have no ads in your campaign, and you have two options. First option here is to create new ads or use browse existing content. Browse existing content will allow you to choose posts that your company page has posted or choose past ads that you've maybe created in other campaigns. There's actually also a third option for certain campaign types to be able to boost posts from employees. Those are called thought leader ads. If you're interested in learning more about those, we have several other videos on the channel to learn more about that. It's a very effective ad format. But in this case here, we're going to choose create new ad to create some new ads for this campaign. Once I'm inside the ad creation screen, on the left-hand side, I have my inputs, and on the right-hand side, I have an ad preview that will show up. So first I get to name my ad. I have some ad creative here in mind. I'm just going to pop into this builder as we go. So say as we set up conversion tracking, I want to drive IT leaders to schedule a consultation call or a free assessment if they have security issues that they want to discuss or get help with. That's going to be the point of my ad here for this case study. So I'm just going to name this free assessment. You can choose whatever kind of naming conventions you want to use here, and then add destination URL. Say I have a call scheduling link that I know I'm going to be using. I can grab that, put it in here. If I wanted to add UTMs here, I could, but otherwise my dynamic UTMs from the campaign level will be automatically applied to this URL. The next section here is called intro text. This is the text above here, which is going to show up above the image and above the headline that you set. So this is kind of the body of the ad or the intro text section. So I do have some text in mind here. So some copy I'm going to use is going to say, there's already been 27 financial breaches this year. Ensure your company's financial data is protected. Get a free assessment today. So I'm going to copy this over body copy and put it there. Your max character count is 600 characters here, so you could use all that space if you wanted to. Something to note is that after 150 characters, that's when LinkedIn is going to insert a read more button. User sees this ad in there. So if you go over 150 characters, someone in the feed, when they first see this ad, this is going to be removed, and there's just going to be a read more button around this area here. Well, they'll have to click read more to see the rest of it. So because of that, you want to be cognizant of what copy is above fold there, and whatever that is needs to be compelling enough to get somebody to click the read more button. And also it needs to be standalone, because lots of people don't click the read more button. So you want your ad to be able to convey its message if somebody doesn't click that read more button. Because if somebody just clicks on your ad headline right away, and maybe they just glance at that top part there, at that point you've paid for that click. So you want to make sure that, again, whatever is above the fold there, convey the message appropriately. So I'm going to go back to the copy that I had there. So often we will use short copy here. Feel free to use long copy when you have a complex product or a complex offer, or you really need to convey that information to somebody, but just be mindful of what is going to be displayed before the fold versus after. Next is the add images. So I do have an ad image in mind that I'm going to upload here. This is going to be an ad image I'm going to use. It's going to say, is your FinServ data really secure? Get a free assessment here. Click add to library. It's first going to add this to the LinkedIn media library. This is a library that that LinkedIn will remember the images that you upload. It'll also remember the videos. That's a different builder, but it'll be either your videos you uploaded or past images that you can then choose from. So if you are going to create another ad in the future, or maybe you want to split test copy and have two sets of copy with the same image, it's nice here to have this media library because you can just go find past images that you used. It also allows other people to upload images, and then you can use them there too. LinkedIn's automatically going to put some alt text here. This doesn't really matter. It's just for alt text purposes. If somebody has accessibility settings, they can then use their accessibility reader to understand what that image is. Next is my headline. So I do have some copy here that I'm going to use. Free assessment today. I'm going to put that in there in the headline, and then you can see this is going to be the layout of the ad. Very often people will read the ad image first. Images are usually the most eye-catching, and that's usually where your eye jumps to. So whatever the biggest header there, that's usually what's going to grab someone's attention. Maybe you have an even bigger image. If I made this guy even bigger, maybe that would be the first thing that somebody would see. And then they would read the headline here, and then finally they'll read the button here to understand what they're going to click on it to do. But on average, people read the image first, and then second, they'll read the headline, and then third, they'll read the body copy. copy. That's on average. Some people do go out of order depending on how much they've scrolled or not, but most people are going to go in that order. So someone's going to glance at your image. Is your FinServ data really secure? Get a free assessment. Then you can say, get a free assessment today. Actually, as I read that, I probably want to make this a little bit more specific so somebody knows what that they're signing up for. So let's make this, get a free IT assessment for your FinServ. So that's very clear. As we're targeting IT leaders in the financial services sector, this is really going to speak to them. Of course, FinServ here speaks to them. This person represents like an IT person. So those elements all help with your ad. And then finally, the last thing people are going to read on average is there have been 27 financial breaches this year. Ensure your company's financial data is protected. So it really hits on that pain point to start. There's been 27 financial breaches this year. The stat we had was actually major financial breaches from like an organization like that. So it's a very strong hook. Ensure your company's financial data is protected. Now down here, this description, this is actually not used on LinkedIn at the moment. This is only used if you run ads on the LinkedIn audience network, then this description section can be shown. So if you're planning to just run ads on LinkedIn, you don't have to put anything here. Don't waste your time writing that copy. But if you are planning to use LinkedIn audience network, you'll want to have some information here. So maybe I just want a little descriptor there for describing my offer and my company. So I'm just going to put that little tagline there. Last here is my call to action button. So LinkedIn has a few different preset options that I can choose from. So I can click on that. I can actually leave it as off. I don't have to select anything and then there won't be a button. There's a little bit of an advantage there is when somebody sees a button, they think ad, but overall someone's going to know that this is an ad to begin with. So I'm okay using a button because I do want to also help that drive towards more click. So if I click that, the options I have here are apply, download, view quote, learn more, sign up, subscribe, register, join, attend, and request demo. So here, probably either going to use a sign up or a learn more button so that it's most clearly matches and is aligned with the rest of my copy. So this ad's going to read, is your financial services data really secure? Get a free assessment, get a free IT assessment for your FinServ database, sign up. So that's clear. You're signing up for a free assessment. When somebody clicks on this, they're going to go to a page where they're going to sign up for that offer. It's important to have your landing page or wherever this URL is directing to, that landing page speaks to and is aligned with the creative that you're running here. If they get to this landing page and it's vastly different, maybe it's different branding or different messaging, maybe it's not talking about FinServ, maybe there's different colors, that's really going to throw somebody off and then they're not going to want to convert because something doesn't seem right there. They'll be concerned about giving their data to a website that does not align. They'll also be concerned if they're actually at the right place. So you want to make sure that your landing page aligns with the rest of the creative that you're using here. Down here on the right now, when I'm all done, I'm going to click save ad and then that ad is going to get saved. And then my account, I can use this ad in other campaigns if I want to, but I can now see that that ad is in my account and then I can choose to then either create a new ad, use other ads, or I can just choose to launch with this one ad here. In general, it's good to have a few ads in your campaign so that you can split test to understand what creative is performing better than others. Maybe you want to test different imagery, different headlines, different offers, and stuff like that. So you can do that by having multiple ads in your campaign and then see which one is performing best. Most often, I want to organize similar offers in the same campaign where I also don't want to split test blog ads with my free assessment ads and a free trial ad. Those are different types of ads that I would be running, where the blog ad, I'd want it to drive traffic to a website, and the free assessment ad, I would want it to convert users. So very often I'll organize ads by the type of offer that they represent into different campaigns. Now from here, you can save and exit if you want to go back and create other campaigns or do other things. Otherwise, you can click next and come to the final screen here. So this final screen has a summary of all the settings that you've set here. You'll see the campaign group it's in. You'll see the details of your targeting. You can have one more review of everything here and make sure all your settings are correct. You can scroll down here. Now, because this is a mock-up account that I've created, it's asking me for my business information. So you'll need to fill in your business information here. You'll need to add a payment method before you can launch it. Of course, you're paying for ads, you're buying ad space, so you need to have a credit card on file. It's also possible nowadays for bigger accounts to use invoicing, where LinkedIn can then send you an invoice at the end of a monthly period. So if you're a bigger company, I don't know exactly what the threshold is at the moment, but if you're over their threshold, you can then choose the invoicing method where they can send you an invoice at the end of the month. Another thing I'll call out here that's very interesting and useful when you're setting up your campaign is when you're looking on the right-hand side here, I can see the target audience size represents how many people are in the audience after I build this criteria here. There's also a button here to click show segments, and this shows me a useful breakdown, and there's a few different options. So I can choose by function, seniority, years of experience, company size, industries, and interests. So it allows you to play around with the different options here you've set for your targeting and then see how does that reflect in my segmentation targeting. Because I have different company sizes listed here, maybe I want to see how many people are at the small companies versus at big companies, maybe I'd want to keep an eye on if it's too many people at the big companies, maybe I'm missing the small ones or vice versa. So let's take a look by company size. So here I do see that the majority, the biggest segment is 1,000 to 5,000, but very close second is 51 to 200, and then 22% is 201 to 500. Interesting that actually the smallest segment, or the second smallest, is 501 to 1,000, and then finally 2 to 10. Now, I'll also mention that we're not actively targeting 2 to 10 here, so 2 to 10 is showing up because people will have second jobs in their profile, and I'm positively targeting people by this, so they must have at least one company on their LinkedIn profile that matches this targeting. People can have a second job, maybe it's a side gig, or maybe they volunteer on the side, or maybe they're an investor on the side. Those are all very common things that can make a second job and a second company show up on their profile. All right, and also LinkedIn will provide some forecasts here. It's interesting to take a glance at this. It'll tell you your average CTR range of where your competitors are landing. This is a good indicator so that you know where you want your creative to be landing to be competitive. Whereas if your creative is below 0.54, then you're lower than your competitors and you'll have to bid higher. If your creative can beat 0.82, then that's higher than your competitors and you will get a cost saving. You will be able to bid lower and you'll have higher quality scores going into the auction. All right, so because this is a mockup account, I'm just gonna scroll on the bottom. I'm gonna click save and exit to get back to the main screen. And now I can see my campaign here. I can click in to see the ad that I had created here. It's all in draft mode because it hasn't been launched yet, but I can click into this to see a preview of this image. This will all show up here. And I can see a preview of this ad here. It'll show up and I can take a quick glance through to make sure that this is showing up as I intended to. Now for some final tips and tricks as you're setting up your campaigns, also to summarize the different items that we talked about along the way. Number one is you want to avoid setting a very broad audience when you're setting up your campaign. Other platforms are good at optimizing towards the person who's most likely to convert, but on LinkedIn, you're paying for every click, so you want to avoid any untargeted clicks. So avoid very broad audiences, use all the targeting options that LinkedIn offers, and target your audience very specifically. If there's a specific job title and a specific industry you want to go after, make sure you set those specific parameters. Typically, a good audience size is about 30 to 80K. If it's bigger than this, you have the opportunity to get more targeted. Also, turn off audience expansion initially. Some of these settings are nice to get more reach out of your campaigns, but for your first campaign, it's best to have these off because this will allow LinkedIn to go after people outside of all that targeting that you just set. Turn off audience network because this will display ads on third-party websites, often out of context. Again, can be good to get more reach when you're ready for that, but to start with it off. Next is to use manual bidding so that you can control the cost and know what you're going to expect to pay for every click. And then finally, split test your ad creatives against each other. So you might test different offers, different images, different headlines, and different copy, but do some testing. All right, so that's exactly how you can set up profitable and high converting LinkedIn ads campaigns. Now, there's a lot more that can go into the strategy, ad creative, and optimization of campaigns. So going forward, you have a couple options. Number one, you can do it yourself and try it all out. There's a lot of other good videos on this channel you can watch to learn all those different components. We also have a podcast called LinkedIn Ads Radio, where we even interview LinkedIn on many of those episodes. So you can dig through all those to learn all the other components you'll need. Or if you'd like help with this, you can reach out to me and my team to talk about your ad campaigns that you're working on, and we can talk about how to create the best campaigns for your company based on your audience and your offer that you're promoting. And if you pick the second option, you can look below to find a link, book a free consultation where you can talk to me personally about your LinkedIn ads campaigns. On this call, we'll deep dive into your business and I'll show you exactly how we can use LinkedIn ads to drive more B2B quality leads and bigger sales opportunities for you and your sales team. You'll work directly with me and my expert team, and you won't be handed off to a junior specialist. So if that sounds good, make sure you click that link below and book a free consultation with me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.